Hi all, hope all is well. On today's video, we are going to be wrapping up an experiment I started 4 days ago. Now, the experiment that I'm talking about is taking seawater and producing drinking water from it using nothing but the power of the sun. Now, I've done quite a few videos on this subject, and we're all trying to discover a way to actually produce a much faster supply of drinking water from seawater. We're definitely doing it. The results are definitely there. We are producing drinking water from seawater. However, the results are very minimal, and we're trying to improve that. And when I say we, I'm saying myself and the viewers. So there were quite a few comments on one of my videos, or a couple of my videos, in fact. And the suggestions that people were making were ranging from including a heat source in the actual seawater itself to speed up the process, to actually different designs altogether. And just as it so happens to be, this is one of those different designs altogether. This was a design as suggested by a viewer, and he suggested that we use some Coke bottles to actually see if we could produce a faster supply of drinking water from the seawater. And I actually drew up the plans for this. I made a video on it as well, so there is a video in regards to this subject. You can go back and watch that. I'd recommend it just to give you an idea of what the design is. But for those who don't want to go back to watch the video, I'll explain it in this one here. This is actually made from 2 plastic drink bottles, and one of them was cut in half, as you can see, as the base, and another had been cut to create a funnel that we actually flipped upside down and inserted into this drink bottle here. Now, if you look closely, you can see a ring of holes around the outside edge. And the idea of that is the seawater itself goes in the primary bottle, and then we insert the funnel upside down into the seawater. And the seawater doesn't actually get into the funnel itself. The funnel's purely there to collect the drinking water itself. The holes around the ring of the funnel actually allow the evaporation to pass through. And then during the night, when it gets a bit cooler, the moisture-laden atmosphere condenses against the inside of the bottle. So the cool air passes on the outside of the bottle, and it forces the evaporated air to meet its dew point. And by meeting its dew point, it condenses and it actually drips down into this funnel here. And as you can see there, we did manage to create some drinking water from seawater using this design. Now, as I said earlier, this design was completed over a 4-day period, and over that 4-day period I managed to extract 7.5 milliliters of drinking water from seawater using this bottle technique. And I know a lot of people are going to go, that is absolutely appalling results, and it's not the greatest results, that's for certain, but it's definitely results, and it is definitely drinking water. You can consume this. It's not going to help much though, so you'd need 100 of these bottle setups to manufacture enough drinking water to sustain yourself. At least 7.5 mil per setup, and even if you had 133 of these setups, you'd be able to produce roughly a litre a day. And a litre a day may not sound like a lot, but I'm sure if you're thirsty, you'd be very considerate for that. But it just gives you an example of what is possible using such a limited supply of components. So I decided to make a variation on this, as you can see in this footage here. And it was purely to add black material to the salt water itself in an attempt to actually improve the evaporation process, which would create a more rich, moisture-laden atmosphere in the bigger jar, in the bigger bottle itself. And then during the night, we'd hopefully be able to recondense more moisture out of the atmosphere and increase that yield from that 7.5 mil over 4 days. I'm hoping to be able to double that. From previous experiments, the results may be disappointing. Let's just say that. But there's only one way to be certain, and that's to actually complete this experiment, wrap it up in 3 or 4 days. It doesn't matter how long as we keep track of how many days it was, then we can work out the rate of extraction per day. And then we can see whether perhaps we can make more variations to it, which is exactly what's going to have to happen. I know there have been quite a few suggestions in the comment section in regards to ways to improve this. Obviously, adding the charcoal to it was one of those suggestions, but other suggestions mention adding cloth to it. So the salt water actually it gets soaked into the cloth and then evaporates out of the cloth. It acts as a wick of sorts. And if you have a look at the solar stills that are used in survival kits for yachts, this is one of those aspects, one of these designs that they incorporate into those solar stills. And so that's it for today's video. Check back in 3 days. In 3 days, we'll actually have the results of this here to see if we've improved the yield from 7.5 millilitres to, I'm hoping to double that, but I guess only time will tell. And until then, thanks again for watching. Cheers. Bye.